Good, happy Friday morning, April 24, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Friday morning, so let's begin. First up, 3 new COVID-19 deaths related to institutional outbreaks in New Hampshire, officials say. 1,670 known coronavirus cases in New Hampshire, officials say. Let's take a listen to that video from Deb Mu, News 9.
In this life, there are only so many things you can count on. The sun rising every day is one of them. In 1 second, the sun generates more energy than has been used in all of mankind's history. Reliable, powerful, valuable. Granite State Solar, helping New England capture the power since 2008.
All 3 of these individuals were associated with institutional outbreaks such as long-term care facilities or nursing homes.
And it's not just today's new deaths. The state epidemiologist says that's true for more than half the state's 51 total deaths.
Which is why we're putting such a heavy emphasis on protecting this more vulnerable population.
The health commissioner confirmed 2 new outbreaks, with 20 positive cases found at nursing homes in Derry, and updated previously confirmed outbreaks, including a total of 43 people with the virus inside an assisted living facility in Dover, and more than 180 cases among 2 facilities in Manchester. 40 people have COVID-19 at an assisted living facility in Nashua, and at another in Salem, there's 26 more. However, the dark numbers come with a light of progress. The state says over the last week, the daily number of COVID-19 tests being performed has doubled. But the governor says his current stay-at-home order will likely extend beyond May 4th.
Unfortunately, the data just isn't supporting pulling back on too much right now.
Sununu says he's embracing federal guidance regarding a 14-day positive trend in data, something the state hasn't seen yet. But he says his administration is looking at geographic or demographic flexibility to reopen the state.
Not everything is going to open on the same day. Certain things can open up maybe in a week or 2, and other things maybe can't open up for a month or 2.
In the meantime, health officials say as a result of their increased testing efforts, New Hampshire residents should expect the number of positive cases in the state to also go up. Reporting live in Concord, Tyler Dumont, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. And here is a look at that COVID-19 in New Hampshire, what you need to know information. There are 1,670 number of people who in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. There are 856,209 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 51 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 218 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 47,272 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire right here shows you where cases of COVID-19 are in towns and cities of New Hampshire. Manchester, 348 cases of COVID-19. This chart here, new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations, and in the red are the deaths. And why doesn't the number add up? And here's why. Take a look. In cases by age groups, COVID-19 cases by female and male, and risk information. Your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Homeless camps grow as people avoid shelters for fear of COVID-19. Resources will be made available to people in camps. Let's take a listen to that video from Deb Mu, News 9.
The number of COVID-19 cases in the Granite State continues to rise. The number of people coming to Manchester's homeless shelter is going down.
What we hear from our participants is that they are frightened. They're frightened of being quarantined and having to, be placed in a quarantine environment where they, where their movement is restricted.
And because of that, homeless camps are growing in size. Now city officials are working on a plan to address the crisis.
We want to be sure that people who are living outside have the supports that they need to protect themselves and to stay safe.
According to CDC guidelines, camps should be given supplies, and the city is taking that advice.
Whether that be, larger tents that allow them to be farther apart from each other, porta potties, hand washing stations, food delivery, resources to help them keep the camps clean.
Resources city officials say the state will provide.
The CDC guidance is that we do not clear camps at this time. What we don't want is for people to be, roaming about the city, right? We want to try to provide them with the resources and the support that they need to stay safe where they currently are.
And we're told those supplies will be here in Manchester very soon, and then they will be placed in the community where they're needed. Reporting in Manchester, Kristen Carosa, WMUR, News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Last night on ABC was the 2020 NFL Draft, and it was virtual this year. Patriots traded away first-round pick. Traded pick to Chargers. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and grandfather George decided to sell tractors out of their barn, with a work ethic geared towards customer satisfaction and loyalty. A lot has changed since then, but we still have a commitment to treating our customers like family. With locations in Milford, Brentwood, and Concord, New Hampshire, we provide customers with
hardly any pomp and circumstance tonight, but you know what? We haven't had any games in over a month, and for the first time in a long time, we had a live sporting event in America.
With the first pick in the 2020 draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU.
In our new virtual world, this is not the same, but the NFL draft still provides a sense of normalcy and a welcome distraction.
Oh, come on, guys, you can do better than that. Let's go.
Fans were there virtually, booing the commissioner in his man cave. The live event took us inside the homes of the prospects where they celebrated with their families. We also saw the coaches and the managers who were drafting them. For Patriots fans, a chance to see a new direction for the team.
You can only watch so many reruns of past championship sporting events, and sometimes you don't want to relive it, but I think this is a something to look forward to.
I feel like the Patriots are uniquely positioned for the first time in 20 years without Tom Brady on the roster. So it'll be interesting to see which direction Belichick decides to take the team in.
Coronavirus has changed this whole process.
They haven't been allowed to go to pro day events or meet with some of these prospects since the combine.
Fans are just hoping there will be a season in the fall. For now, this fills a small void.
This is different for us, and it's different for you, because it has to be.
The Patriots actually traded out of the first round tonight for a second and third round pick, so now you can watch their first selection tomorrow night right here on WMUR. In Manchester, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire company sees increased demand for thermal cameras to screen for COVID-19. Manchester VA Medical Center and other facilities use cameras. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jessica Moran.
This could be the new normal when walking into some public venues.
Whereas now you get screened for metal or your ID, perhaps there'll be now another data point of, the elevated skin temperature readings.
FLIR Systems makes infrared cameras that can detect an individual's temperature from a distance. They do not recommend using the cameras for scanning crowds.
We want to look at people one at a time, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the temperature of the tear duct, the inner canthus of the eye, which is the best correlation of core body temperature.
Since 2011, they've maintained a facility in Nashua with 200 employees. The company says they first provided the cameras to airports in Asia during the 2003 SARS outbreak, and now they're seeing a demand grow here in the States due to COVID-19.
As the virus made its way from China over to Europe and now, of course, here in the States, we're seeing that similar adoption, again, from government agencies, from private industries, manufacturing, hospitals.
FLIR Systems says they're currently working with facilities including Wynn Casino, Emirates Airlines, a grocery store in Georgia, and most recently in New Hampshire, the Manchester VA Medical Center. When the camera detects a high temperature, it's up to the company using the equipment to decide the next step.
We're just the first, I guess we'll call it the first line or first level of screening capabilities for this virus.
And it's important to note the cameras cannot detect the actual virus. The company does have FDA approval, and for those who raise concerns about privacy issues, they say the cameras can only capture thermal imaging. They cannot capture the type of pictures like you're seeing right now. Reporting live, Jessica Moran, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Number of Granite Staters filing for unemployment drops for second week. More than 19K file new claims for benefits. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
These are truly challenging times, but New Hampshire companies are here and open for business.
This graphic shows the reason for the optimism. Over the past 2 weeks, a steady decline in the number of new filings for unemployment, something that appears to be continuing.
These are 2 positive weeks that we have seen. The week that we are currently in, it continues with that decline in numbers.
Laver says they are also seeing a decline in the number of calls coming into their call centers. Still, the new numbers mean an additional 19,000 people are now out of work, and it's tough to pinpoint where they are coming from.
It could be different sectors. It could be that they had a delay in the impact. Maybe they were able to work for a few additional weeks.
Over the past week, some healthcare facilities have announced they are furloughing workers. Labor says those employees are starting to show up in the system.
We have seen a significant impact in the healthcare sector with not only hospitals, but our nursing facilities, assisted care, long-term care.
This week also saw the $600 stipends as part of the Federal CARES Act being delivered, and the state has paid out approximately $120 million. But back to the filing for new unemployment claims, Labor says he's not ready to say that New Hampshire has turned the corner.
We could have another spike in claims, so we want to be ready for that, but certainly good numbers with what we've seen today.
Well, the deputy commissioner says they've done a good job of clearing up a backlog of cases. He says they will keep the call centers open extended hours in order to answer people's questions and accept new filings. In Concord, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire reopening task force considered 4-phase plan for restaurants and lodging industries. Hope to begin first phase on May 5th. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
If switching to Visible means you'll miss the mystery in your phone bill, we're sure there's a true crime series you can catch up on. It's The Mystery. Visible, welcome to the future of phone service.
Dining rooms empty and many hotels closed. New Hampshire's hospitality industry has lost $800 million in this pandemic so far. Mike Summers is the head of the New Hampshire Lodging and Restaurants Association. He says roughly half the industry's 70,000 employees have been laid off or furloughed. He sits on the governor's reopening task force and presented a plan to reopen his industry in 4 phases, beginning with outdoor dining and tables at least 6 feet apart.
We think that that's a relatively small step in the grand scheme of things, and frankly, as the industry, we'd like to see that happen relatively quickly. We'd love to see it happen May 5th.
Phase 2, indoor seating would reopen with tables at least 6 feet apart, no buffets, and no more than 10 per table.
Ultimately, this would allow you in your immediate group to essentially go out to dinners.
Hotels would reopen too with extra sanitizing measures. Exercise areas would remain closed, and so would other gathering areas. Phase 3 would expand the number of people allowed at each table, and hotels could reopen exercise facilities. Phase 4, things would go back to near normal with upgraded cleaning and sanitizing measures. Now, there's no timeline here, but in each phase, staff will get their temperatures taken when they arrive for their shift, frequent hand washing required, PPE available, and hand sanitizer stations for customers and staff. Now, over the next week, the task force will meet every weekday at 3 to talk about how to reopen various industries. The public is encouraged and invited to listen. That information is on our website. You can just click on this story. There will be 2 meetings for public comment as well, remotely, of course, April 30th from 1 to 3 p.m. and May 1st from 9 to 11 a.m. You can also send written comments to the email you see there at the bottom of your screen. That is nhreopen@nheconomy.com. Live remotely, Monica Hernandez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Stock features point to a flat open following Wall Street's roller coaster session. U.S. stock features were little changed in early Friday morning trade as investors continue to weigh the perspective of a potential coronavirus treatment. Man who led U.S. Drug Agency removed from his post. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Doctor at the Department of Health and Human Services tonight. He'd been helping to lead the fight to develop a vaccine. He now says he's been removed from his post, he says, because he spoke up about drugs not backed by science, including hydroxychloroquine. Here's Terry Moran tonight.
Tonight, Dr. Rick Bright, who led the key federal agency that's developing drugs and a vaccine to fight the coronavirus, is suddenly out of his job, and he's speaking out. Bright says he was abruptly removed from his post this week because, he claims, he insisted on rigorous science-based vetting of hydroxychloroquine, the anti-malaria drug that's been embraced by President Trump.
I think it could be something really incredible, like we're having some very good things happening with it.
Dr. Bright, in a statement he released after being transferred to another agency, declared, "I am speaking out because to combat this deadly virus, science, not politics or cronyism, has to lead the way." Bright says he defied directives to push the anti-malaria drug, saying it was being promoted by the administration as a panacea, but clearly lacks scientific merit. The Veterans Administration tried it on COVID-19 patients, and researchers say it may lead to a higher death rate. Jonathan Karl pressed the president on those new findings.
A panel of experts at the NIH is actually now recommending against the use of hydroxychloroquine in combination with Z-Pak, which is something you've been recommending.
I'm always willing to take a look. Right?
Trump and his allies have hyped the drug repeatedly to the apparent dismay of Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's called the evidence for its use anecdotal. And when Fauci tried to answer a question from a reporter earlier this month, he was pushed aside by the president.
Correct?
He's answered that question 15 times.
So let's bring in Terry Moran live from Washington tonight. And Terry, this doctor is now calling for an investigation.
That's right, David. Dr. Bright is asking the Inspector General of the Department of Health and Human Services to investigate what the doctor says is, quote, the politicization of work on medicines and a vaccine for the coronavirus. And the doctor's also hired lawyers, the same lawyers who represented Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, Justice Brett Kavanaugh's accuser. They say that his removal from that post was, quote, retaliation, plain and simple, and they want to see him reinstated. David?
All right, Terry, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Watch Anderson Cooper grill Las Vegas mayor on coronavirus comments. Let's take a look at that video from Entertainment Tonight.
You're a very good interviewer. I've watched you for years, and you're wonderful. And I'm not going down that road. I am sticking with what I'm asking for. Please, our governor.
I'm focused on what you're saying, Madam Mayor, and what you're saying doesn't make sense.
Get me to say something. No, that's your opinion of what you think I'm saying, and I am being very clear.
Anderson Cooper straight up grilled Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman on Wednesday night, and their battle has everyone talking.
And when he said, this germ, wait 1 second, you asked the question, let me answer.
I'm not interrupting you, I'm listening to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, maybe it's breathing. I'm sorry, I'm being silly here.
Mayor Goodman joined Anderson Cooper 360 via video chat and talked about her recent call to reopen Las Vegas despite the ongoing coronavirus crisis.
Doesn't that sound like a virus petri dish? I mean, how is that
safe?
safe?
What it sounds like, you're being an alarmist. I'm not.
She's been pretty vocal about her opposition to the stay-at-home order issued by the Nevada governor. And Anderson, well, he took her to task, asking her all the tough questions.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. You're the mayor of Las Vegas, and you want casinos to be open, even though you have no authority, thankfully, over casinos. But you say open them up, but you have no responsibility about how that would be done safely?
No, you're blurring. No, you're blurring.
You said it's not your job.
There.
Yeah, there was a lot of that no going on.
No.
Testing and contact.
You're putting words in my mouth. I said open up. Las Vegas.
No,
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said we'll be a control group.
Excuse me.
I want to just show you.
No, they aren't.
Show...
No.
But you don't want to get the actual. No, the point died.
No, you're talking disease. I'm talking life. I'm talking life and living. These are people who have had to.
Honestly, this whole thing just calls for an epic montage of all the wild faces Anderson made. But this is my personal fave. Yeah, Anderson was pretty peeved, and it only got worse.
Chinese researchers have shown how this virus spreads. I just want to put up for our viewers. This is a restaurant.
Anderson, you are tough.
No, I'm not
We're
talking.
back to China. This isn't China. This is Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow. Okay, that's really ignorant. This is a restaurant, and the yellow circle. That's an ignorant statement. That's a restaurant, and yes, it's in China, but there are human beings too.
Well, fans of Anderson, including Jimmy Kimmel, a Las Vegas native, took to Twitter to give the journalist mad props for grilling the mayor like he did. Jimmy tweeted, quote, "Dear Las Vegas, it would appear that your mayor of Las Vegas, Carolyn Goodman, is dangerously misguided. I am not easily shocked anymore, but the interview she is doing with Anderson Cooper, CNN right now, is bonkers." Another fan tweeted this moment from the sit-down, writing, "Yeah, me too, Anderson Cooper." While another person called the whole interview a spectacular train wreck. Then there's my personal fave, this tweet, pointing out how Anderson's blink rate increases with the amount of dumb he's confronted with. It's like using Morse code to say, what the actual
If casinos reopen, are you going to be inside those casinos every single night putting your own life on the line?
I have lived in this town for 56 years.
Are you going to go to casinos every night and put your life on the line like all the workers you say you were there holding their hands?
They don't need it. We weren't broken. We tragically have 150 people we lost. Tragic. We have 2.3 million people here.
I haven't heard you say yes, that you would be sitting on those casino floors every night along with the people that you say you are holding their hands with.
And that is what we call a mic drop.
What is the purpose of that? First of all, I have a family,
because
and I cook every meal every night.
Putting money where your mouth is, to use a Las Vegas term.
Anderson,
if you say it's safe,
Anderson.
Okay, so you're not willing to sit on the casino floors.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Thank you for watching this morning broadcast of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.